This is Hollow Knight. My name is uppercasserole. I'm a purple square. I'm joined on comms by Brother Wildness. How's it going, Wild?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. All right. We have a bunch of cutscenes and stuff to talk through, so we can just get started. We'll get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is Hollow Knight. This is a game released in 2017 by Team Cherry. Team Cherry, of course, famous for their smash hit Silksong. This is their first release, which is much less good and popular, but it's not bad as games go, I guess. Anyways, this is a 2D Metroidvania, and it sort of redefined the genre. Like I imagine most of chat has heard of it. It's a pretty good game, I would say. We are doing the latest patch all skills category, where we need to gather all of the movement abilities, nail arts, spells, spell upgrades, and then beat the game, which is a fun sort of introductory category. Since we get all the spells and spell upgrades, we actually have a relatively easy time with all of the boss fights compared to some of the other categories where they can be significantly more difficult.
Some of the boss fights are still a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get to those in time.
But yeah, we're just doing some early movement here. We don't have any of our movement abilities yet. All we can do is sort of walk and jump. There's a couple of minor time saves here and there that we've... some enemy pogos, that sort of thing, but... so far, most no major glitches runs in Hollow Knight start off pretty much the same way, where we're going to go and get our first spell and go to Green Path, do the sort of mostly intended path of progression. Alright, as we enter the town here of Dirtmouth, we're going to start jumping, because in Dirtmouth, your like walking speed is limited, but your jumping speed is still the same, so we just hop our way through Dirtmouth. This is like the only area in the game where this is true, so spam some jumps.
Yeah, we get a lot of dashless movement for the first 8 or so minutes of the run.
Yeah.
Can be quite interesting not having the dash ability, but can also be a little bit slow.
Oh, before I forget, I will mention, I'm sure the host has probably mentioned this, but we do have a bid war going on in this run for rescue or abandon the grub. So what that is about 30 minutes into the run, there's a grub in a glass jar, and we can either rescue them or we can just leave them there. It has no effect on this category at all. We don't need to rescue the grubs. But they're cute, and they deserve to be rescued. And rescuing them loses, like, literally 0 time, because, like, we're trapped in a room with this grub anyways, so it's just the morally correct choice.
It loses lots of minutes to save the grub, so you should always abandon it.
But yeah, we'll be cutting that off when I pick up the Crystal Heart ability, which is, yeah, in about half an hour from now or so, so get your donations in for that. But for now, we're just working our way towards the first boss of the run, the False Knight. Doing, again, fairly standard movement here. I guess I'll talk about the interface if you've never played this game before. In the top left corner, there's like 5 little masks. That's my health bar. I now have 3 health. And then next to that is a big circle. That's my soul meter, which is basically our mana. You fill it up by hitting things with your nail, which is our sword. And you can spend soul to cast spells or to heal yourself. But yeah, it means healing is very sort of like expensive to do in a speedrun, because we could be using the soul on spells.
It's quite slow as well.
Yeah, like the animation takes a fair bit of time. I'm going to do some healing right here because I have time to kill. But...
so if you've never seen this before, we're going to skip this boss.
Yep. Bye, False Knight.
Most speedruns will skip this boss. I say most, but some will, some won't, depending on if you need the money.
Yeah, beating up False Knight is really slow, but it does give some useful rewards, but we don't need any of them in this category.
So we can comfortably skip it and save ourselves about a minute.
And with that, we pick up our first spell. This is the Vengeful Spirit, which is sort of our fireball. We'll probably refer to it as fireball a whole bunch. But it sort of shoots a blast forward, and it deals 15 damage, where our nail right now is dealing 5. So it packs quite a punch for this early in the game, but we'll be upgrading it and getting much stronger spells as we go throughout the run.
Yes, but the common theme through the run is that spells will be our main damage. We do not upgrade the nail at all, so it continues to do 5 damage for the whole run, whereas we get progressively stronger spells as we go on.
Yeah, most speedrun categories don't upgrade the nail. The nail is actually pretty good if you get it like fully upgraded in like 100% completion runs. The nail starts like actually doing a lot of work in the very late game, but in most speedruns where you're very limited on resources, spells just pack a lot of punch much more quickly. So
what we just had there, after getting the Vengeful Spirit ability, we get locked into the Ancestral Mound, and the reason for that is to force the player to learn how to use the Vengeful Spirit. So you can't defeat that large enemy, the Elder Boulder, without Vengeful Spirit, or without some kind of ranged ability. So it forces you to learn to use the spell, and also learn to collect soul to use spells. And we're going to have another one coming up in a moment, which is guarding the entrance to Green Path.
Yeah, and this is speedrunner's favorite enemy. There's a 50% chance that they will spit one of their children out, and a 50% chance that they spit a ball of acid, and we need them to spit out one of their children to get enough soul to finish them off, so...
You only have enough soul to cast 3 spells, and the Elder Boulders take 4 hits to kill, so you need to wait for one child. Sorry,
I should say 50% if you're playing casually. If you're speedrunning, it's like 10%. It's just math.
Yeah.
That's how that works. I don't make the rules. So we're gathering soul here again to do another useful thing that fireballs do is they sort of push you back a little bit, and we can use that to do some light sequence breaking here. So this is the sort of one of the more famous Hollow Knight skips, the fireball skip, which I will hopefully not mess up.
This cuts off a significant portion of Green Path, which is very nice because otherwise it would be extremely slow to walk all the way around.
That was actually pretty close. I would have shot a third fireball if I had the soul to do it. Fortunately, 2 was enough there.
That's good. There is a backup where you can pogo on an enemy there, which is nice.
Yep. And there's another fireball skip you can do in this room. I typically don't go for it. It saves like only like 1 second over doing this strat, the bestie bonk, where we bonk our friend there.
The bestie bonk is very comfy and a lot easier than that fireball skip.
And here I'm going to do a thing where I'm going to try to hit this enemy with the same fireball twice. This is called a double hit. Darn it. I was trying to manipulate him into jumping backwards so that he would sort of stay in the fireball hitbox long enough to get hit by it twice. It's a thing we're going to be doing against a lot of bosses, just to get a lot more damage out of our fireballs.
Yeah, doubles are very good for damage. Another questionably whether it's called a boss, but we've got Vengefly King, which appears in Godhome, so must be a boss.
Well, I was gonna do the not quick kill anyways, but since I missed that fireball, we're definitely doing that now.
We purely kill this enemy for the Geo, because we need money to afford a few things in this run.
Just gonna grab this.
The Geo is quite tight, so that's why Upper is going back to get that money, because we don't want to be poor.
And speaking of money, we're gonna farm these enemies for a heck of a lot of Geo, actually, like several hundred, or like 150 or some such.
170 from the Moss Knights and the Rocks, which is quite good. Yeah, you want about 380 to 390, so 397 is quite comfy at this point. Right now we're going to buy Green Path Stag and not benching because that would be very bad. Green Path Stag will let us come back here quite a bit later in the run to get one of the other abilities that we can't quite reach right now.
Yeah, and if you're passingly familiar with all skills, that might surprise you. This route has actually been rerouted very recently. Literally the day that Indiethon was announced and I realized that I got this run into the marathon, the world record holder dropped a new world record for this category with a completely different route. So that was cool.
I'm yet to run too many runs on the new route, but it's quite interesting. It has some challenging bits to it.
Oh, by the way, this is Hornet.
Possibly the first real boss of the run.
Yeah. The first sort of like like trivial boss that you actually have to fight for more than 3 seconds.
Can actually die to.
Yeah. And from that we get the Mothwind Cloak, which is our dash ability, which is awesome for a speedrun because it helps us go fast, but it also helps us just reach a bunch of areas on the map that we could not otherwise get to.
So quitting out here. The reason we quit out is because when you sit on a bench, or in this case, when you picked up the Vengeful Spirit ability, it saves you at that bench, and saving and quitting returns you to the last bench you've rested at. So we use that as a bit of a fast travel in a lot of speedruns. There are the stag stations, which are the game's built-in fast travel, but bench warping, as we call it, doesn't cost you any geo and helps save a lot of time. But of course, it'll only take you to the last bench you rested at, so you can't always use it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple of really irritating spots where you actually just get like hard saved to a particular spawn location when we ideally would not like to, but it happens.
Yes. Few of the abilities do that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, our next stop is to go get the Mantis Claw, which will give us like access to almost everywhere on the map, really, movement-wise. And we're gonna do yet another skip here. This is the explosion pogo. Oops. So I'm gonna gather a bunch of soul and try to pogo an explosion, which is about as dangerous as it sounds. So yeah, here we go. Perfect. So you use the fireballs to like hover in the air long enough for that, I don't know what that thing is called, sporg or some such, to reach you.
The sporg is the plant thing, the spore is what it shoots.
Makes sense. And then right there, that's the Mantis Pogo, where we pogo some mantises to get up here a little bit quicker.
Now, those familiar with the old run, or any percent, you would normally quit out here, but the recent reroute, we actually are going to get Howling Wraiths, which is another one of our spells. It is slower to get it this early, but the amount of time you save from having Howling Wraiths more than makes up for the bit of time lost from getting Wraiths so early. And that is a major part of the new reroute. And
it saves us a trip to the Abyss later, or to Basin later, I guess. But yeah, we have a nice little movement segment here. If there are any announcements or donations or anything, that was probably a pretty good time. Or we could keep talking about the run.
Yep. This split is quite spicy sometimes. Some movement that's quite easy to mess up. Not falling there, for example.
Yeah, it's easy. Like, it's kind of a dangerous split, really. Maybe just because it's new, I guess. But like this section, these jellyfish are all somewhat random and can get in your way, and it's easy to get exploded. Oops.
Oh. Thankfully, you didn't take any damage in the Mantis Claw split, so quite good on health for this.
Okay, we made more or less that cycle properly. I'm gonna heal. This isn't a particularly difficult arena, but if you die here, it is really bad. It's like one of the worst deaths you could take.
Not what you want in an event.
I may have healed too much though. Let's see if I have enough soul to do do the strats here. Yeah, I'm gonna be a bit short, eh? Or no, I guess I'm
fine. You can enter this arena with 1 soul. you do the strats.
Yeah, this arena can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not bad.
When it goes good, it's good, but if things go wrong, it's hard to lose. It's easy to lose track of all the enemies, and they just go a bit crazy.
Yeah, this is the Howling Wraith. This is our like up spell. It hits significantly harder than the Vengeful Spirit does. Annoyingly, it deals damage over like 3 ticks, and in a lot of cases, like the first tick will knock enemies out of like the second and third ticks. So like casually, it's kind of hard to get a lot of damage out of it. But if you like really know what you're doing with it, it just destroys things.
It's a funny spell. It can be really strong in some situations, and in other situations, it's just annoying. Sometimes it just sucks enemies into you, and you get hit.
But we are about to go fight like 5 bosses in a row that just get completely murdered by this spell, so it kind of works out for the route at least.
Yeah. Big benefit of getting Howling Wraiths so early now is that it trivializes a lot of these enemies that used to be a little bit annoying. Grozmother, for example, it's a lot easier.
So I've been collecting some soul on the walk over here so we can beat up this, this is another sort of trivial boss here, especially with wraiths. Oh, I missed a tick, that's fine.
Oh,
They're
no.
dead. And there's actually a second phase where a bunch of like small children will emerge from their stomach and fly around. There's like 7 or 8 of them and you have to kill all of them, and it's used to be really irritating, but now we can just do this. And that's over with.
Yeah, with Vengeful Spirit, that cleanup can be a little bit annoying. Sometimes they fly out of the spell and you have to chase them around, but Wraiths just makes it free.
Here we're going to grab the one and only charm that we get in the run. Charm is this game's sort of equipment system. We picked up the Shaman Stone charm, which enhances the damage and the size of the like hitboxes of all of our spells. So with this, our spells are going to just hit even harder.
This charm gets used in just about every speedrun.
Also here I'm taking an intentional death.
Yes, this is intentional, not an accident. I know you died.
So when you die, you leave your shade behind, which you have to like collect to get your soul back together. But we're going to use them as a springboard to get up here. That's the shade skip. It's a really cool skip. It might be my favorite skip just because it's actually pretty easy. Like you can do this at home very easily yourself, and it's so useful. This gets us to Blue Lake, which gets us to like right side City of Tears, which is an area of the map that's otherwise like takes really long to get to after we swim through this enormous lake. That was not the cleanest of Blue Lakes, but that's okay.
Making our way down into City of Tears. Please try this at home. Yes.
Alright, so we are here in the City of Tears, a sort of like mid to late game section where we're going to start collecting some items and things over here. Ooh, okay. Those husks can be in basically random spots, and it's nice to not take any damage there.
Very nice. The big one often gets in your way.
Yeah, soul in this section is pretty tight. We don't really have, like, we can't afford to heal at all in this section because we just need every scrap of soul for spells. This is another optional enemy that we're fighting for the 420 geo that they drop. And again, Wraiths just pretty much destroys them if you can just keep them in the corner.
Yeah, it makes the fight a little bit quicker and also lets you finish on full soul, which you need to for this next bit, which used to be very difficult, but is now very easy.
So we're going to pogo this background object to get up here when we should need to have wings. And then, yeah, this... I think I missed a tick. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Wraiths sometimes misses a hit of damage, and you just lose that damage. So, had to go and get some more soul to do another cast. But normally, you would be fighting that Great Husk Sentry with Vengeful Spirit and It's a bit of a challenging fight. He does double damage, so you really don't want to get hit.
Yeah, this used to be, this was probably my most practiced room in the entire game, or like in this entire run. Like it's really tricky and really easy to take a ton of damage, but now you just go underneath him and just destroy him.
Kill him through the floor. It's very unfair for him. Now entering Soul Sanctum to get the next ability, another spell called Desolate Dive.
Yeah, this is a spooky area. I would say a lot of speedrunners hate this area. I actually really love it, in that it's super duper random and like terrifying, which I kind of enjoy. But yeah, it is super duper random and terrifying. So here we go, I guess.
Yeah, known for RNG. Lots of teleporting enemies. They sometimes will just teleport into your face. Don't jinx it. Nice dodge.
So yeah, you kind of just have to deal with whatever those guys decide to throw at you. So you get a cheeky race when this guy always spawns directly above you. But otherwise we're just going to use fireballs, because wraiths are kind of tricky to hit him with otherwise.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can very consistently get fireball doubles on that enemy, affectionately called Norman.
I'm gonna gather a bit of extra soul here so I can heal, because we are going into what the speedrunning community refers to as Hell Room.
For good reason.
Appropriately named. There are 3 of these teleporting twisters in this room, which... hello. Okay.
We'll just do that.
This is actually pretty rare that they'll troll you that hard, but sure.
Yep, that seems about right.
Yeah. Okay, we're through it. It's fine.
And on to the boss of the area, which, again, is kind of trivialized by having Howling Wraiths.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take an intentional damage tank here to gain control during this cutscene. You can take 2 damage here to get control like even earlier. I'm not gonna do that for a marathon, but
Very nice belly stagger. Yeah. Taking the damage there lets you start fighting a little bit earlier.
There we go. Yeah, this is like probably the boss that gets destroyed by wraiths like harder than any other boss. He flies, so he's always above you, and he doesn't suffer knockback, so like he always eats the full wraiths. And he has like infinite stagger frames, so he like just eats wraiths super hard.
Now we've got another phase of this boss.
Psych, not actually dead. Yeah, okay, well, whatever. I could have used another race there. I wanted to just get some healing in, because again, marathon safety.
Yeah, you do need to now. So when we pick up this ability, it gives us a hard save here, so we can't just save and quit out of this area, unfortunately. So we need to exit Sanctum, which, like entering Sanctum, is also a bit RNG.
So our third spell, this is our down spell, the Desolate Dive, which does sort of ground pound. In addition to dealing damage, it also lets us break through floors, so we're going to be doing that. That's
And
what I
it
just
gives
did
you
there is a
iframes.
fake dive. So you can go through those breakable floors, or you can break the breakable floors and not fall through them. I like to do that. It's not actually done by most other runners, but it sets up this second fake dive really nicely, so I like it. Okay.
This area is sometimes referred to as Hell Room Part 2.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, those flying enemies are called follies, and their movement speed is tied to your frame rate. So I've capped my frame rate to 200 frames per second, but if you uncap it, and like I can get like 400 to 500, and they just zoom after you, and it's terrifying.
There are also some other frame rate shenanigans that go on, which makes lower frame rates a little bit better for this run. One thing is rates. You can miss ticks of rates more often on higher FPS, so lower FPS is a little better for this run now. Making our way up to a stag station so that we can travel back to Dirtmouth, which was the starting area.
Yep. we are making our way over to Crystal Peak to pick up the Crystal Heart. So I mentioned that bid war earlier. We're getting down to it. You only have a couple minutes left to get in your bids to save or abandon the grub.
You know you want to abandon the grub. It's happy in the jar. It's safe.
If the host is around, I can hand it over to them for any announcements or donations. Now's a pretty good time.
I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Also, the run has been going so smooth so far. Great showcase. Thank you both for being here.
Oh, sorry, I'll just quickly point out, so I was wiggling back and forth there. That actually makes this bell appear faster. Not joking, like that's actually serious. Okay, go ahead.
No problem. All right, everybody, I just want to remind you that Indiethon Spring 2024 is raising money for Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. You can donate to support their amazing efforts by going to tracker.indiethon.com/donate. If you don't know who Fred Hutch is a cancer research center. They are a Seattle, Washington-based research facility dedicated to finding cures to cancer. Did you know that 1 in 3 people will get cancer in their lifetime? You can help reduce that number and save lives. A donation of $5 allows them to purchase 500 test tubes for their research, and a donation of $250 enables researchers to see which genes switch on in cancer. You can help save lives. More information about their life-changing research can be found on their website at fredhutch.org. And with that, thank you all so much for being here to support the event, and now back to Hollow Knight.
Thank you.
All right. Could I ask how the bid war is going right now? Out of curiosity.
It does not have any donations to it so
Okay.
far.
Well, then I'll just choose myself. So if you want that to happen,
I would prefer you save them. Those cute little creatures need to be saved. But I hear Brother says they're safer inside the jar. So I'll let everybody in chat decide.
If you want the grub saved, you'll have to donate.
all right. So this is Crystal Peak, a very sort of cycle-based area.
So you'll see upper entered Crystal Peak using the dive ability. Normally, to enter Peak, you either need dive or there's another entrance with a toll, which requires the lantern to actually see the toll. Obviously, you can't see the coin slot to put your money in if you don't have the lantern. It's too dark. So other runs will get the lantern and enter via that, but it's very expensive, and because we need to get dive, we enter via the dive floor.
Yeah, we'll just not be picking up lantern. We're actually going to do a couple of rooms just in the dark. But first, we're going to do a quick little boss fight here, which, again, Wraiths happens to be very, very good against.
This is also new to the route. You might think it's slow, but this enemy actually drops a decent amount of geo and is quite quick with Wraiths, so yeah, good little bit of money.
Oh, okay. That dash is
Not
actually
get
really
hit
tricky.
by that Shardmite, which the community refers to as Sean, and we all love Sean.
Alright, pretty good HP, didn't take any damage, which I'm pleased with as we
Yeah,
head
that was
down towards
a good peak.
the Crystal Heart.
There's a few spots where you can take damage tanks in this split, and they can save a bit
It's
of
a bit
time,
spooky,
but also
yeah.
there's a lot of spots where you can damage tank, and you need your health to stay alive.
Alright, last chance to get your snipes in. We're heading to Crystal Heart right now. This section's kind of funny. Casually, this is like really hard, but if you actually just go as fast as you can, these laser cycles are consistent, and it just like works out. It's really nice.
Overplat. No.
Yeah, overplat for the fans. Everyone cheer.
Alright, now we have the super dash.
Alright, were there
Alright.
any last minute snipes?
It does not look like it, so it is up to you to decide what you want to do with their fate, and chat will get to chastise you for whatever you choose.
Okay, well I always rescue the grub, so I'll be rescuing them.
What a
In
Chad.
minority.
It literally loses no time. And they're so adorable. Alright. These
Usually
pressure
when I abandon
cycles
the
are
grub.
consistent if you go really quickly. Which works out. And here's our grub friend. So we hit the switch and then we rescue the grubby.
Alright. Here's one of those dark rooms you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so this room is just like a bunch of really narrow platforms on top of a big pool of spikes. And we're just going to do it in the dark, and it's fine. Perfect.
Yeah.
Lanterns
Consistent.
be expensive.
Just takes a bit of practice.
Oh, alright, that's fine. So this is the Crystallized Mound where we're getting our first spell upgrade. So all 3 of our spells have an upgraded version. We're getting the first one here. And I'm going to lure this flying enemy, this Crystal Hunter, over here to actually hit me out of the, like, spell get cutscene. So...
Saves about 4 seconds.
yeah. So we just jump up here to get his attention one last time, and he's going to hopefully smack me as we collect the spell. Perfect. So now we have the Descending Dark, which is our upgraded down spell. So this actually just, between the upgrade and the Shaman Stone, which we have equipped, it actually deals a ton of damage. So like Wraiths, it deals damage in like a couple different ticks. There's like the impact and then the first shockwave and a second shockwave. All that together adds up to 88 damage, which is just a ton. Again, for context, our nail deals 5 right now. So if we can hit enemies with all 3 ticks, it's really, really worth it.
So what we're getting now, the Dream Nail, arguable whether it's an ability or not, whether it's a skill, but it is required to finish the game. So this allows us to unlock the Dreamers, which allow us to then fight the final boss of the game. A little platforming sequence here.
We didn't really talk about Crystal Heart, but Crystal Heart gives us this Crystal Dash ability, which lets us fly through the air, and yeah, we can use it to skip a bunch of the platforming here. Typically we use Crystal Heart like just for movement. It's about equivalent to like 4 dashes, so if you need to dash more than 4 times, it's usually correct to do a C dash instead.
Now once we got this ability, we just quit out.
Yeah. So we can actually open up the pause menu during this cutscene and just leave and go back to Dirtmouth, which is the last bench that we sat on.
Normally you get teleported to the Seer and it gives you a bunch of lore about, you know, about the Dreamers and what you're supposed to do with the Dream Nail. But we don't need any of that, so we just leave.
So we picked up the Shopkeeper's Key, which allows us to get more items in the shop, so we get the Elegant Key, which we need to get our next spell upgrade. But first we're going to take a trip to the Howling Cliffs to get our first nail arts. We're going to get the Cyclone Slash, which is probably the most useful in speedrunning, as it allows us to fall more quickly. If you use the Cyclone while you're in the air, it'll like uncap your fall speed. So we're going to be using it all the time when falling in places.
Back to King's Pass, where we started. A lot quicker now that we've got a bunch of abilities.
It's a fun little climbing movement. I enjoy the climbing sections in this game. There's a couple of them in this run, and they're all pretty sweet.
Yeah. I enjoy the platforming before you have wings. There's some quite nice little movement.
Just the movement in general in this game is really fun. Just the combination of like the wall jump and dash, and then later wings are really sweet. So this is our first nail art. I guess we haven't mentioned it, but we're playing in simplified Chinese because it's faster, if that wasn't obvious. Not only is there less text in Chinese, but the text scrolls significantly faster. Like, it's wild, the difference between English and simplified Chinese. Like, I think it saves probably close to a minute.
Yeah, it is. It's so slow if you ever switch back to English, and because obviously we're speedrunning, we've kind of memorized all the dialogue options and we know what directions to put in the stag menus, which you're about to see. So we don't really need to read anything. We just know go 1 up for the stag direction. Don't need to read it. Just know the directions.
So we're back in the City of Tears. We have a couple of things to clean up here now that we have the Elegant Key as well as Jade Soul. Oh, okay, a little too early, but that's fine. This is new movement to me, so I'm not very good at that room, but that's okay.
You didn't fall into spikes.
It's true, I didn't eat spikes, so we're okay.
So we couldn't do this before because we didn't have the elegant key, and also we only had weaker spells. So now that we've got Descending Dark, makes this fight a bit quicker as well.
You do the one Cyclone that we use in combat here just to farm some soul off from this guy, because it's a little bit quicker than swinging your nail. This is Norman 2. And we want him to just sit in our D-Darks, but he's a slippery little guy, so you don't often get full damage, but that's okay.
We take all his money, because we need it.
And we pick up our Fireball upgrade. So this upgrades, with Shaman Stone, upgrades our Fireball from 20 to 40 damage, which is pretty big. And again, we're typically going to be shooting Fireballs when we can get doubles. So in a lot of cases, the Fireball is actually going to be dealing 80 damage, which is pretty similar to the D-Dark.
Should be seeing that in a moment.
Yeah.
It's the next boss. So a bit of a boss rush for the next few splits. This middle bit is probably the most challenging part of the run. We didn't get to save and quit after fighting Norman 2, or Soul Warrior, as he's properly called. So we have to carry this health over to the Watcher Knights, which...
Oh, I was supposed to cancel this dash. Yeah, stay away.
So Watcher Knights, because we've got a lot of spell upgrades, it's not the most difficult in this run, but it can easily get out of control. If they stick together, you can just dive on them a lot and do a ton of damage. But if they roll away from each other, it's quite easy for the fight to drag out.
So the lesser known use of Dream Nail, you can Dream Nail enemies to get soul back. It gets you like 3 hits of soul, and we hit 2 enemies there, so it actually gets us 6 soul, and we just use that to heal up as well as sort of prepare for this fight. But yeah, Watchers die very quickly to spells, as you can see. They don't have a ton of HP, but there are 6 of them, or 5 of them, I guess.
So these ones, you want them to stack up so you can get a lot of D-Dark on both of them, which unfortunately they're separating, so you just got to get what damage you can. Not too bad. They were a bit rude.
Something D-Dark gives you iframes. Dying to bosses? There's a big copy pasta in the community about people not using D-Darks. But yeah, D-Darks do in fact give you a lot of iframes, so it is quite the spell for just avoiding damage.
Chest before, it's slower.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, typically people grab that chest after, like on the way back down from this elevator, but I like to get it before. I mean, it makes sense to me because I get to charge a Cyclone, which in theory saves time, but people have apparently said it's slower, but I don't know, whatever. It really doesn't matter.
Quite small time save regardless, so... Right, first streamer. So to unlock the final boss, the Hollow Knight, we need to absorb the 3 Dreamers who are blocking Black Egg Temple, which is where the final boss is. So as well as getting all the skills, we also need to go through and absorb all these Dreamers, which is why we had to fight the Watcher Knights, because they do not guard a spell or an ability, they just guard Lorien.
Alright. So here I'm going to take a slight deviation from the world record route. In theory, the optimal plan is to go visit Hornet 2 right now, but we don't have the ability to swim in acid, and we also don't have the ability to double jump, making that kind of tricky to do. I'm going to go and get the ability to swim in acid first. This only loses about like 5 seconds, and it just makes it a lot easier because we don't have to do an acid skip right before fighting the most difficult boss in the run.
Yeah, the acid skip that you would do if you didn't get the Ismus tier is quite a tricky one, and if you take any damage to the skip, then it gives you less health for the Hornet fight, which is tough.
But yeah, fortunately, getting Ismus tier first is really not much slower. So I'm just gonna go take this bench really quickly, and use this as a save quit later. And then go get Ismus tier right now. charge that cyclone properly, but that's okay. There's some weirdness
So
if you use cyclone. Sorry, if you see Ash through a screen transition, you can like get an early charge on your cyclone by holding your nail button through the transition, but I forgot to do it there, so.
So we're going to see a few little skips coming up. First one, Spike Tunnel. And we'll see some acid skips. Normally there's a whole thing you got to go through to get the Isma's tier ability. You have to fight Dung Defender and pull a lever to lower some acid, and there's all these rooms up above this, but we just seed Ash over the acid. It's a lot faster, and it's not actually that
Yeah, once
difficult.
again, we lure this enemy to hit us out of this item get cutscene, so we can just save and quit and get out of here immediately. Okay, so now we can go fight Hornet too. But yeah, so even though that's like a big detour and like in theory we're walking right past there later, one nice thing is we don't have to actually leave Isma's Grove, so that saves us a little bit of time, and then leaving from Hornet 2 is also a little bit faster with Isma's tier since we can just swim through the acid. So in the end it only loses about 5 seconds to do it this way.
And it is nice not having to carry the health from, well, from exiting Kingdom's Edge and then taking that damage tank in Isma's. There's a lot of damage tanks and possible spots for damage, so having the save and quit just makes things quite comfy.
So yeah, this is the room where we'd have to do an acid skip if we didn't have the ability to swim. And it's a bit of a tricky one. But we still don't have double jump, so getting to Hornet isn't completely free. I'm going to lure this enemy over and use them as a springboard to try and get up here.
And normally you're expected to have double jump by now, but we don't need that.
These enemies are quite rude.
Everyone hates primal aspids.
Okay, not bad. They're going to heal here too, because, yeah, as I said, this is probably the hardest boss in this run, I would say. Hornet is very small, very fast, and she's, like, she dodges spells pretty well, so.
Can either go very quickly or just go very, very wrong.
Does she have more HP than the final boss? She might, actually.
I don't know, actually.
It's probably pretty close. I think they're both around 900.
So we're just going to go for a lot of fireball doubles and dives when Hornet does the needle throw attack. Mostly we're going for doubles because, while it's a little less damage than the dive, Hornet likes to jump out of the dive so you don't often get the full damage.
Okay, not bad.
Quite nice. So you get a dream nail off there because you need a bit of soul to do a little dive skip later. It's just a breakable floor that saves a little bit of time.
But yeah, so that fight is like a pretty good template of how a lot of the next couple bosses are going to go. Basically, when bosses give us opportunities to get double hits with the fireball, we're going to take that. And the way you do that is there needs to be some distance between you and the boss, and there needs to be some space behind the boss so that they can move backwards. And if those like properties are true, then you have like a good chance of getting a double hit. And then when they give us opportunities to get full damage D-Darks, namely if they like root themselves in place, then we'll D-Dark them. And like this, all of our spells are just dealing like 80 plus damage, and it really just destroys most bosses pretty quickly. I forgot about this room.
Don't forget the Geo.
Yeah, I was mentally preparing myself to get this Geo Rock and forgot what room I was going into. But yeah, we grabbed this Geo Rock for 44 Geo. It's actually a pretty quick source of money.
Yeah. It was in the old route, then it got routed out, and now it's got added back in, so it's easy to just forget about it. And onto another nail art. Unfortunately, Oro makes you pay for this one.
Yeah, 800 geo.
It's very
Just,
rude.
pretty expensive item.
And that's part of the reason we had to collect so much geo earlier on, is we got some big expenses with buying the shop key and buying the dash slash.
So yeah, that's the dash slash nail art, which allows you to like do a big swing while you're dashing. We're basically only ever going to use it to like hit switches slightly early because it reaches slightly further than your nail does.
Very tiny amount of time save.
Yeah.
But at
Do you
least
mind
we
if I
use
hop
it
in?
now.
Do you mind if I
Go
hop
for
in
it.
for a second? Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Indiethon is a tri-annual charity event showcasing all types of indie games. We're bringing you speedruns of games you may not have heard of before to help support Fred Hutch and their efforts to find cures for cancers. For more information on our events, please visit indiethon.com in your favorite browser. Also, thank you so much Team 17 for sponsoring our event. They're an independent indie game publisher based in the United Kingdom. You can visit their website at team17.com. They were also very kind to give us free game keys to give away to our donators. And they have packs such as the Metroidvania pack, the Narrative pack, the Horror pack, and their Grand Prize pack, featuring all types of games from the company, all the way from Yuka's Island Express to Blasphemous 2. So please donate and check this out. And once again, thank you all for being here, and back to Hollow Knight.
Thank you.
All right.
Alright. We're just making our way down to Ancient Basin for another ability, and part of the reroute is we just beat Hornet and got the King's Brand, which lets us enter the Abyss, which in the old route we would do later on. But because we fought Hornet early, it means we don't actually need to make a second trip down here.
Yeah, we're on our way to
Does
pick
save quite a
up.
bit of time.
Sorry, we're on our way to pick up the Monarch Wings, which is our double jump. Now that we've like done several skips and done everything we could possibly need the wings for, we're gonna go get the wing. This is just kind of funny.
Yeah. Now that we no longer require wings, let's get wings.
All right, so this section's actually kind of tricky. So this is filled with these enemies. This enemy right here, which is a Mullark. And they are, at least my understanding is the like direction that they fire their spit is random, but the rate at which they fire them is not. So you can mostly consistently dodge them. So yeah, I've gotten past nearly all of them without taking any damage this last one. And yeah, so that was pretty well done. We took one hit,
Yeah.
which I will gladly accept on that section.
Oh, no trans dash.
Yeah, there's a tiny skip you can do here called the trend stash, which I am bad at and don't like doing, so we go around. It saves like 2 or 3 seconds in that room. But this is the Broken Vessel, another boss that is going to hopefully just get smushed by spells.
Yeah. Another one that, if it goes well, it's very, very easy.
That was a triple hit,
Nice.
which I will gladly take. So yeah, we get some double hits when they're lunging around, and then now that they're rooted in place, we just get some D-Darks. And it finishes them off
Should
pretty
be dead.
quickly.
1D dark.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. Can be a difficult boss depending on where you, at what point in the game you come to this boss, because, yeah, being a Metroidvania, you can get to certain bosses at different points in your playthrough, so if you had trouble with that boss, like I did, don't
Yeah.
worry.
There's also, since we have Dreamnail, we could fight an optional harder version of that boss called Lostkin, which is probably most people's first Dream boss, and that boss is hard.
Yeah.
We do not need to fight them in this category, fortunately, but yeah, that boss is like, casually when you
struggled a
get
lot.
here early and he's just gonna destroy you.
It's so fast. But yeah, we don't need any essence for this run. We don't get the Dream Nail. Sorry, we don't get the Dream Gate or the Awoken Dream Nail. So we don't need to fight any Dream bosses. So we can thankfully just ignore the Lostkin.
Alright, so we have King's Brand, which lets us get here into the Abyss, which is nice. Again, this is part of the reroute, which saves us a little bit of time because we don't have to make a second trip over here.
There is a stag station nearby, which makes getting back here not too slow, but well, every little bit of time save helps. So. I've been playing so much rando, I was wondering why you were doing this first. Rando rots your brain.
So these siblings here, they deal double damage, so this section's a bit spooky. Okay, made it through it, that's fine. But yeah, very easy section to die in because they're all randomly positioned. And you're trying to obviously climb up as fast as you can.
Now the reason we needed to come down here is because there are two abilities. There's this Shade Cloak, which we're about to pick up, and there's also the Howling Wraiths upgrade.
So as soon as we dunk in that pool, we get our Shade Cloak, and you can sit and watch this cutscene, or you can just save quit out. We are hard saved to this location, so like we're just gonna wake up right next to the pool, but this is slightly faster than watching the cutscene.
Yeah, it doesn't teleport you anywhere, but it saves you from watching an actually quite long cutscene.
So the Shade Cloak makes us invincible while we're dashing, but only like every third dash or so. Like there's a time-based cooldown on it. But you'll see when I'm dashing, I'll like turn completely black, and then like the void comes back to you and it refreshes.
Quite a handy ability to have in the old route. We used to not get it until right at the end, but it helps a little bit in a few of the later splits.
Yeah, it's nice to have.
Nothing huge, but it is comfortable.
Cool little strat here. I hit this guy twice and then dash through him because we have Shade Cloak, and then Crystal Dash, which kills him, which means he's not going to be in our way on the way out of this room.
Hands up if you got confused here on your casual playthrough and had no idea what the game wanted you
yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I looked this one up.
Yeah, so did I. Imagine paying attention to what the background
Yeah.
means and dream nailing them tells you what to do, but
So
not very
our
smart.
last spell upgrade. This is the Abyss Shriek, which is our most damaging spell. So again, it deals damage in ticks. It deals 4 ticks of damage, each dealing 30, I guess. So it's 120 damage total.
Huge damage if the enemy wants to stay, which some of them don't.
Oh,
What we've got
hello.
here,
Nope. Okay,
oops.
that's fine.
Abyss Climb. We are, yeah, as I'm sure you can see, climbing out of the abyss. It's quite a fun movement split.
Yeah, very popular
Snap when you
IL
fall.
category is doing this climb out of the abyss, because just
There are
it
some
shows off
spots
all the
where-
movement abilities we've gained throughout the run so far.
Yeah. There are some risky spots where you might dunk in the spikes, and that gives you a hazard respawn, which is quite slow, but this used to be at the end of the run, so it was a very bad place for nerves, because if you're ever on a good pace, you then have to go through the climb and risk losing it. But now it's in the middle of the run, which is a bit anticlimactic, but it is comfier.
So I like accidentally gained a little bit extra soul, so I could blow that open with a thing. Once again, you do some wiggles here, which makes this bell appear more quickly, and then I'm going to ring the bell with a fireball and leave the room, so we don't have to watch the cutscene of the stag arriving. Where am I going? Up 2? Okay, cool.
Well,
I was
green
paying
path,
attention.
yeah. Now remember Green Path Stag that we bought way at the start of the run?
Yeah.
Here's where we use it. There is
So-
another way to get here, but it's slower. So
It is. It used to be in the route until somewhat
Yeah.
recently, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is quite a bit slower.
the downside of this route is that you do have to buy the stag, which costs money, and money's a bit tight. So we're going to get Great Slash, which is guarded by this little gauntlet. Fun movement here.
Yeah, you're probably expected to use Crystal Dash to get over most of those gaps, but it's slightly faster to just use wings and dashing.
There are some rather precise crystal dashes you can do, which are like I timed it to be like 0.3 faster, but I don't do them because I kept hitting the thorns. So dashes are very comfy and still incredibly fast.
Yeah, this is the Great Slash. We're going to use this exactly once. Or I guess twice. Because, yeah. We're going to use it to basically gain control during like a cutscene when we shouldn't otherwise have control. And that's basically it.
Yep.
They do see... Nail arts do actually see some uses in like the 1xx categories. There are like some late game arenas. And again, if your nail is actually strong, the nail arts are strong as well. But for us, they're not really worth using.
You do any categories that do like Colosseums or Pantheons, nail arts get some use, but in this, not really used.
Yeah, here's the use right here, just to gain control while we're falling, so we don't hard fall on the ground. I need one more nail hit. Okay.
A little bit of safety strat here. You dive because you have iframes. None of those enemies can hit you.
Yeah, that room's kind of spooky. There is like a slightly faster way to get through it with cyclones, but you could just get owned very easily.
Very easy to take like 3 hits of damage, which is not really good when the next area you're going into has exploding jellyfish, which do 2 damage.
This is a fun room. I enjoy... We talked about how I enjoy doing the climbs, but some of the falls are pretty fun too. Yeah, we're working our way towards... We've actually gathered all of the skills. We just need to actually get 2 more Dreamers to actually, you know, finish the game or whatever. And it just so happens that we've routed the last 2 Dreamers as the 2 last things to get.
Now we've got one of the least favorite bosses of the run.
Yeah, not particularly because they're
itself.
difficult, but just because they're very random
Yeah.
and can waste a lot of time.
Yeah, it's just random attacks, and you can't really do anything while Umu is doing those attacks, so you kind of just have to wait.
Yeah, Umu is just completely invincible right now, and we just have to wait for them to become vulnerable. And that can happen after 3 or 4 attacks of this lightning.
Now, there's a slow attack, which you're seeing right now, and there's a fast attack, so we've got 2 slows and a fast, which is not ideal, but no extra attack.
And they're dead.
Shriek makes this very easy.
Yeah, so we
You
just
just
get
have to
the
do-
nice 1 cycle there. It is possible to do that without Shriek. It's possible to do it with like D-Darks and Fireballs, and I believe also even just Fireballs. But it's somewhat more difficult.
Yeah. The old strat, you a D-Dark and then 3 Fireballs, and you had to make sure you got at least 2 Fireball doubles. It's a lot more precise. But Shriek just makes it a lot comfier.
So here's a spot where we use Dash Slash. Again, just hit this Dreamer slightly quicker.
Huge time save.
Yeah.
0.2, I think.
Something like that. Alright, we just have 1 Dreamer to go, and then we can go finish the game. And they are in the far reaches of Deep Nest.
It's just so far out of the way.
Yeah, it really is quite the detour now that we no
Yeah.
longer get Wraiths during the split.
Yeah, we used to get rates along the way to Hera, but not anymore. So it makes both Hera and Monomon feel very out of the way.
And once again, Dreamers are all hard saved, so we have to actually walk out of Teacher's Archives or climb, as it were. It would be nice if we could just save quit out, but we cannot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we also don't, because we don't get the Dream Gate ability, which is a type of teleport. We can't use Dream Gate to just walk out of there. But the climb's not too bad.
1 more Dash Slash for the fans. Massive.
Huge time save. Coming up to Queen's Garden's acid skill.
First try, oh man. But yeah, this is
80%.
one of the most difficult acid skips to do in the game if you don't have Isthmus Tier, which in any percent run you would optimally do. And yeah, it is quite the difficult skip, but fortunately we don't have to do it. Oh, okay, well. So yeah, this is Queen's Gardens. We're just passing through here because it happens to be the fastest way to get into Deep Nest. It's like one of the last like final areas in the game, sort of in intended progression, so it's filled with some pretty strong enemies.
Not that we have much trouble with them, and not that we fight most of them. We just
Yeah.
do a little arena that we have to, and a little movement gauntlet, and we kind of just ignore the rest of the enemies except for a bit of soul collection.
Cheeky Shade Cloak there to get through that
It's a
guy.
nice little shade cloak, not getting hit by that moss fly.
Well, I didn't collect as much soul as I would have liked in this section, but that's fine. Not the
Yeah.
biggest deal.
It is good to get soul, because any soul you get here you carry over to the final boss, but it's not a huge deal.
And we still don't have the lantern, so we're doing this section in the dark. This is a much longer
More
section than the
dark
Crystal Peak dark room, but it's like arguably easier.
It's a lot more lenient, yeah. Messing up doesn't just instantly dunk you into spikes.
Make no mistake, there are a lot of spikes in this area, but yeah,
Yeah.
not on literally every floor at least.
You do need to know where you're going.
Okay.
If
and we're
we
through.
have any last announcements before the end of the run, now is probably a good time.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Also, once again, good job, guys. It's going amazing. Really enjoying the run. All right, so everybody, thank you all for being here. I just want to let you know that the next run that we have coming up is going to be Tempest Mask 1000 with Shovel Knight Showdown. They are going to be doing story mode on medium, but if you want to, you can donate by visiting our website, and if you would like, you can go to tracker.indiethon.com/donate and choose the incentive on which category they actually run. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for Rain World. I am so sorry. Look at me reading the wrong incentive. I am so sorry, guys. I have the wrong schedule pulled up. But yes, Tempest Mask 1000 will be showing up with Shovel Knight Showdown, doing story mode medium. And I will be passing off comms to BTF Flotsam after this run. But let's get back into it as they're closing into the end of the game.
Yep, we have picked up the last streamer, so we are just heading towards the final boss. Am I in PB pace? I might be. I have my splits hidden, so I'm not totally sure, but it's pretty close.
Now that we've got all the dreamers and all the skills, we're just going to make our way back to Dirtmouth and then go fight the final boss, which is the Hollow Knight. Which, if you haven't
Spoiler
figured out
warning.
already, we are not the Hollow Knight.
One last little bit of wiggling here. We're going to get the stag, wiggle twice, and then I'm going to ring the bell with a C-dash while C-dashing out of the room to, again, skip the cutscene of the stag appearing. Anything for time
Can do a
save.
Firebell there. Firebell is a little tiny bit faster, but better to take the soul for the final boss, because final boss, you want to be doing a lot of Abyss Shrieks.
Sorry to jump in one more time. Can I read off a donation that we just got?
Sure, go for it.
Sure thing.
No problem. So we got a donation from Anon. Looks like they didn't want to actually put their name, and it says their comment is Ascend the Iterators for $12. Thank you so much for the donation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Alright. Final boss time.
After one very long C-dash. Last chance to hydrate and stretch.
Now, if you've played the game, you probably know the Hollow Knight isn't too hard of a boss, because it's not really the final boss of the game, but We just need an ending. We don't need the true ending, as you would call it. So.
Yeah. But yeah, the Hollow Knight doesn't get knocked back by things, so Shriek does hit them pretty hard, though they do like move and dodge pretty quick. You have to be fast about it.
He is a fast boss, so it is a challenge. But you get a lot of good Shrieks and he doesn't teleport out of too many of them. You can melt him pretty easily.
Ow. His head has a pretty big hitbox. No, that was second screen, sure. So while he's self-stabbing, he actually takes 1 damage from everything, so you just use it to refill your soul.
Ooh, this can be both a really good attack and quite dangerous, but lets you get a lot of Shrieks, a lot of free damage.
I'm not gonna risk it.
No,
If you kill him while he's doing that scream, you'll softlock the game. So I waited. I could have gone for it, but
it's possibly would have gotten it, but it's not worth the risk because you would have to save and quit and fight the boss again.
Yeah.
So, GG.
Yeah, time's coming up on the Fade to Black here.
GG to both of you.
And
Amazing
that's time.
run, seriously.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks so
Very
much.
nice run.
Very good run. Were we PBing or?
No, sadly not.
No?
Yeah, it was like a minute off. My PB was at 55, 51, and we got a 56.42. Which is still amazing for a marathon. I would gladly take it.
Really good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, really solid. Yeah, that was a really good run for a marathon.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in running this game, the Hollow Knight community is really great. There's been a lot of all skills movement lately due to the new recent reroutes. A lot of people have picked it up again, myself included. So definitely recommend getting into it.
Yes, I love all skills.
Yeah, all skills is a fun category. It's like it's like main claim to fame is sort of a good introductory category since the bosses are relatively easy. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you're interested in getting into the game.
Well, speaking of the run and stuff, anywhere they can find both of you, such as your Twitch or Discord or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so yeah, I stream on Twitch. I do a lot of speed runs and challenge runs, that sort of thing. I've been doing a lot of all skills lately. You can find me at twitch.tv/uppercasserole.
I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/brotherwildness. I mainly stream all skills. Pretty much exclusively stream Hollow Knight, but yeah, mostly all skills as well.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for the run. It was a lot of fun. The commentary was great. No dead air. Seriously, thank you both so much. Now, let's say someone wanted to run the game. I'm assuming there's a speedrun page or a Discord they can look at.
Yeah, I imagine, like, I'm pretty sure most everything you can find on the speedrun.com page, but yeah, there's a link to the Discord there, I imagine, and all the resources you could possibly need to get started.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you guys again. Seriously, thank you. And as I said, we do have another run coming up from Tempest Mask 1000 doing Shovel Knight Showdown.
All right. Take care.
Thanks
Cheers,
so much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.